My sketchbooks are somewhere to practice drawing and to test out story ideas, but they're also a place to journal. So I write down notes about what I did, where I am, how I feel, and I write down quotes from the people that I'm with or things that I overhear, because when I go through it later, it helps to recall the memory. I feel like I'm there again. Natalie's Sketchbook 2014. My husband wrote that. I don't normally label my sketchbooks until they're done. I put a piece of tape across them and I just say, it's finished. Like, don't open it up. There's no paper left in here. Like, move to the next one. But my husband is really good at archiving his work, and this was a gift I gave to him. I filled this sketchbook in 2014 when I was living in France with him. And at the end of my visa, when I had to go back home, I just finished the sketchbook and I said, don't forget me. Like, here's a gift for you. And it's special because now, 8 years later, 7 years later, we're married. And he still had it. And when you asked me to come on and do this show, I was like, oh no, I don't have any finished sketchbooks. I came to Europe with 2 bags. I left everything heavy back home. I don't have any sketchbooks here. And my husband was like, you've got one. And it tells a story and it's finished. I started it not thinking it was anything special. It's not the paper I normally draw on. And I always start with a page that has my contact info. So if I lose it at a cafe, somebody can get back in touch with me. This is a fun one because 2013, 2014, I was living in France. I got fired from my au pair job, so I was like, I was homeless, I was unemployed, and I drew like it was my full-time job. And I just improved so much by filling up sketchbooks that year. And being in France, going to art galleries and museums and meeting artists who are really different than the ones I'd met in the US. You can see, like, I was reading Loisel for the first time, and I'm like copying faces that I see in these new comics and animation I'm being exposed to. One of the biggest influences is my husband, Boulay. He told me once he got bored drawing things multiple times, so he stopped penciling them. He just started drawing them with ink. That's so simple. Why didn't I think of it, drawing it perfectly the first time? So I was trying to do that, and it's not always perfect, but I do like drawing straight to ink. So I think I was testing out starting comics without knowing where I was going. And there's a lot of little pieces of nothing here, or like, someone I saw on the metro, kind of drawing them if they were a character and then making little situations for them to see if there's anything there. You see people for 10 seconds, and I like to exaggerate what I've seen from them, which is just a tiny piece of who they are, but then exaggerate that into a character. And I feel like you can find really interesting things doing that. And this is definitely like being in Paris and seeing all of these beautiful people. So I remember being at this restaurant and seeing this waiter and being like, I'm gonna draw you, waiter. I know people draw other people in the cafe very often, but I'm too self-conscious. I don't want them to come up and ask. So I would sit, facing a window and look for people across the street that will never.
That's more creepy.
Yeah, much more creepy. But they don't see you. They're not going to come up and ask. And you get different moments than you get from life drawing where it's posed. I like seeing people bending over to pick up their kid, or slouching and looking at their cell phone while they smoke. I really like the natural poses and little dramas. But the cool thing is, when you're looking down like this, most people now, if they don't look really hard, they assume that you're on your phone. They don't think that you're drawing most of the time. It doesn't draw a lot of attention. Actually, the people who seem to notice more are kids. Adults almost never, but kids are like, Mom, she's drawing, which is so cute. They pay attention, I think if you can travel, it's great. I know for me coming to Paris, it was like, wow, that building is older than my country. There's history here, and different shapes of faces, different clothes, and all of that just makes you want to draw it. Like it makes it fun again. This was a series I did after being in Paris for a little while. You know, the American French stereotype is we're prudes and French people are way too comfortable with public displays of affection. So I was like noting all my favorite public displays of affection that I saw. And then I did a series based on this, but they all started with real people that I just thought were really cute. People are so much more interesting than we give them credit for when we make them up from scratch. We make up a lot of like the same person over and over again, and everybody's really different and interesting. And the metro's so good for people watching, oh my God. I feel like French people are more self-aware, so more people saw that I was drawing them, but less people cared. Do you know what I mean? So it was still okay.
This is like a therapy for you also? Or?
Oh yeah. If I haven't drawn in a few days, it feels like something's off. It's like taking thoughts that are bouncing around up here and getting them out and being able to look at them and process them. When they're just bouncing around here, it gets really noisy. And I feel like being able to sketch them out is a type of therapy that just kind of, it's just very good for me.
Is that a study or?
Yeah, so this is in Amiens, France. Jules Verne has a house there from when he lived there, and it's been turned into a museum with a lot of really beautiful furniture and lamps and tiles from that time. He's got this big winter garden that's indoor but gets all this sunlight, and you're just like, yeah, of course this is Jules Verne's house. This place is crazy. It's so cool. More just like kind of nothing ideas, just like seeing if they could turn into something. I think that's my husband.
You're always trying to tell stories, right? The mark is just like a sentence to a phrase of a story or something.
That's very poetic. I like that. I guess I don't think I'm ever going to be the best drafts person. I'm not even in the top 10%, I don't think. But I love being able to find a story or something that people connect to. And if I can do that and draw okay, then it's a pretty good combo. So that's what I try and specialize in, like looking for the story and the emotional connection. I'm not very precious with sketchbooks. I'll rip pages out, and if I need to write down a phone number, I'll go, you know, it's not like a book, it's not precious, but this one somehow survived intact, like from start to finish, and there's not even a page where I'm like, no, don't film that one. Like, I'm like, yeah, I loved this year. Even the drawings that I don't think are good, I like the memory, and it's part of this story, so yeah, like you can look at the whole thing. So normally, I mean, there'll be something embarrassing at some point in a sketchbook, and I'll just like masking tape the page like this.
So you censor yourself?
Yeah, or like, I mean, most of the time it's naked people. So I have no shame about drawing that, but if somebody's looking through my sketchbook, I don't know how they feel about it. I just do that to be safe. It's
That's
normally something like that.
The Americans and the French.
Oh, really?
No, as you said, the Americans are more prudent and the French are just...
Like, we can't admit that naked people exist. Don't let them know. There's my husband. So that's something he said that made me laugh. I said, like, you know, you'll just have to carry on. And he was like, I don't want to carry on. Carry on is what vultures eat. And I was like, oh my God, that's the worst pun I've ever heard in my life. But he was so proud of himself.
And that's the end of 2 months, or?
Oh, let's see, July. And I think it's January, so half a year.
Half a year.
So I'm going to ask you to draw something in our sketchbook.
You saw the episode, probably seen it. And I'm going to ask you to do that. Do you have your tools?
No, I don't.
Don't have anything?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
You can draw wherever.
Let's see what else has been done. Oh, cute. Cute. Nice.
It's a nice collection
yeah.
there.
Okay. Oh, it's you.
You saw it.
Yeah,
Because-
it's
yeah,
doing
because-
it right now. That's great. I could cartoon you if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I normally do is draw people I see. And I've gotten to talk with you for a bit, so I know something about you. It's not like a stranger. Okay.
Okay.
My drawings are not always the nicest. I might exaggerate you. Are you okay with that?
Of course I am.
Okay.
Even if you exaggerate the drawings I saw, they're just like the best side of a person, not always like evil side or dark side.
Yeah, no, I love people. Like what I've realized through drawing people out in the world since 2012, almost 10 years, is you can't know somebody without loving them, and you can't draw somebody without knowing them. So like when I pick someone out on the street, I know nothing about them, but something about them is interesting or I relate to it. And as I draw them, it's like I fall in love with them a little bit. I don't know, it's made me feel really like hopeful and optimistic about people overall, that there's something to love about everybody, right? Do you want to tell me something about you while I draw this?
I don't know. I take photos. I like to take photos. What do you want to know? Because I'm really bad at this.
How did you get into the THU family? Like, how did this come about?
So Andre was looking for some team to film this and to create some shows. And he talked to a friend of mine who has a production company. And he invited me to, well, create something. And I came up with the sketchbook and some other ideas that weren't that good, but we did it. And that was it, yeah. And now I'm here all the time. With my team, always the same. It's good.
Have you gotten to any places with artists that really surprised you, just talking like this? You must have.
Oh yeah, a lot of times. That's why I prefer like not knowing you that well before the interview, and not seeing the sketchbook, so I don't have a lot of info about you, and I can just like you do in your sketchbooks, I do it here, you know. So but now you're interviewing me.
I do really like learning about people and what matters to them. I think one of my favorite things is hearing artists talk about what matters to them and why, like how they got into what they do. That's why this series really interested me. I hope that I can give you something that's worthwhile, but
You are.
I like watching other people give their answers. I think people really like the idea of having their portrait drawn too. Like, we love looking in mirrors, we love taking photos of ourselves. I think that we're like really interested in how other people see us, you know, like seeing ourselves from the outside. So it's scary to have your portrait drawn by somebody that you know is going to be mean. But I think we're all interested to see, like, oh, how would you take my photo, or how would you draw me, you know? Like, how do you see me? Because you might see something I don't know.
You directed the film, right?
Yeah, 2 short films.
Did you write it? Or
Yeah, both of them. They don't have any dialogue, so there isn't like a script, but I did like write the story and decide which beats should go where. The latest one is called Far From the Tree. It's a 7-minute short that'll be in front of Encanto in theaters in November. And it's about a family of raccoons at Cannon Beach, which is where I went as a kid with my family in Oregon. It's a really beautiful, wild, rocky, dangerous beach. And it's like an intergenerational story about parenting and trauma and trying to find grace and forgiveness as you get older. So hopefully people will go in thinking, oh, cute raccoons, I like the art, let's watch this, and come out sobbing like, I need to call my parents. I think parenting looks like one of the hardest jobs on the planet. It's very important, but there's also so much pressure to be perfect, and I don't think perfection exists. So that's so many things causing conflict, and I think it's very interesting.
So you always speak about love, how love is hard, how the connection to when you love someone, or
Yeah, it's not simple, or it's not exactly what it looks like on the surface. That there's more if you dig a little bit deeper, and it can look different from one family to the next. But yeah. Okay, I hope that's not too mean. But I liked what you said. It ties into what we've been doing today.
Okay. Can I please ask you to sign it?
Yes. Okay.
Anything else you want to tell us or the people that are watching this?
I think everybody can draw. People can start at any age. And I think that progress looks different for different people. So sometimes I get really blocked, or I think I'm not as good as all these people on the internet. What's the point? But it's like whatever it does for you is enough. And just the act of drawing just feels really good. I think it's human. So just do it for yourself. And then you have a nice little capsule of your life too.
I'm gonna ask you to sign inside that rectangle. Okay. Thank you.
That was fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for indulging me, letting me ask you questions too.